All right, so you wanted us to do a deep dive on Q-Bert. Buckle up, because this one is a wild ride. We found some really fascinating stuff about this little orange guy. I mean, everyone knows Q-Bert, but trust me, after this deep dive, you'll never look at him the same way again.
Yeah, Q-Bert's got a story, like a surprisingly deep story for a little dude who hops around on cubes.
To really appreciate Q-Bert, we've got to go back to the early 80s, to the golden age of arcades. This was a time when games like, Pac-Man and Donkey Kong were absolutely dominating.
Yeah, you couldn't walk into an arcade without seeing someone battling those ghosts or dodging barrels.
Exactly. So for a new game to break through all that noise, I mean, it had to be something really special, something truly innovative.
And Q-Bert was definitely that. It was like nothing anyone had ever seen before.
And the funny thing is, it all started with, get this, M.C. Escher. You know those trippy drawings of staircases that go nowhere and impossible buildings?
Yeah, those mind-bending works of art. I love those.
Right, so one of Q-Bert's creators, Jeff Lee, he was completely obsessed with Escher's work. And that fascination, well, that's what sparked the whole idea for Q-Bert's iconic pyramid.
I can totally see it.
Yeah.
The way those cubes shift and change, it's like you're looking at one of Escher's drawings come to life. It's brilliant.
It's genius. But it's not just about the look, it's about how the game makes you feel, That Escher-esque disorientation, that sense of being in this weird, impossible space.
Totally. And the controls just added to that. Can you imagine seeing Q-Bert for the first time, walking up to that cabinet and seeing the joystick mounted diagonally?
That must have been so strange for people used to the regular up, down, left, right setup.
Right, you're thrown for a loop before you even start playing.
But that was the whole point. They designed it that way on purpose to mimic how Q-Bert moves diagonally on the pyramid. It was such a bold move, and it totally paid off. It's part of what makes Q-Bert so unique.
Definitely. It added this whole other layer of challenge to the game. Speaking of unique, we have to talk about the name, Q-Bert. It's so catchy, so memorable. But did you know it almost had a completely different name?
Oh, tell me they didn't almost go with Snots and Boogers.
They did. That was one of the early contenders, Snots and Boogers. Can you imagine?
Oh, man. Talk about a marketing nightmare.
Right, and it gets even better. They also considered calling it at town da, followed by the pound sign, exclamation point, question mark, at symbol. Can you imagine trying to market that?
How would you even say that out loud? I'm kind of impressed they even considered it.
Well, they actually tested it with that name on some early cabinets. Can you imagine walking into an arcade and seeing a game called at ta, followed by the pound sign, exclamation point, question mark, at symbol?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's a good thing they had a change of heart.
They definitely dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they landed on Q-Bert at the 11th hour. It just rolls off the tongue, and it kind of subtly hints at the game's main element, those cubes.
It's perfect. It's catchy, it's memorable, and it captures the spirit of the game. They couldn't have picked a better name. It's funny how a name can really make or break a game. Imagine if we were sitting here talking about Snots and Boogers instead of Q-Bert.
I know, right? It just wouldn't be the same. But you know what else is amazing about Q-Bert? The gameplay. It's like deceptively simple. At first glance, you think, okay, change all the colors, got it. But then you start playing and you realize there's this whole other layer of depth to it.
Oh, absolutely. It's so much more than just hopping around on a pyramid. Each level is like a little puzzle, especially as you get further into the game. The rules for changing colors get more complex, and you have to really think strategically about your moves.
Exactly. You can't just randomly hop around. You've got to plan ahead, anticipate where you need to be, what color you need to change to next. And then, of course, there are the enemies.
Oh, man. Don't even get me started on those enemies. Ugh and wrong way. They still haunt my dreams. How do they even move like that? It's like they're defying the laws of physics.
It's that Escher influence, man. They just casually stroll down the sides of the pyramids like it's the most natural thing in the world.
To this day, I'm not convinced they don't have some kind of secret shortcut through the fourth dimension or something. But you know what? As frustrating as they can be, I kind of love them. They add this whole other layer of chaos to the game.
I agree. They keep you on your toes. But if we're talking about pure frustration, I've got to give it to Slick and Sam. Those little gremlins are the worst. You're so close to finishing a level, you're practically tasting victory, and bam, they show up and undo all your hard work.
Ugh, tell me about it. It's like they know exactly when to strike to cause the most heartbreak. You've almost changed all the colors, you think you're home free, and then they swoop in and reverse everything. It's enough to make you want to chuck the joystick across the arcade.
I've definitely come close a few times.
Yeah.
But you know, it always brings me back. the sound
The
effects.
sound effects. Oh my gosh, how could we forget about those? They're iconic, those weird gibberish noises that Q-Bert makes. Pure 80s gold.
They're so unique.
Mm.
And to think, they were basically an accident.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Back then, speech synthesis technology was in its early stages, and the developers were really struggling to get the game to say actual words.
So they just went with it. They just let the synthesizer go wild.
Pretty much. And it ended up creating some of the most recognizable sound effects in video game history.
Talk about a happy accident. But it wasn't all just random blips and beeps, right? That clunk sound when Q-Bert falls off the pyramid. That's got to be one of the most satisfying sound effects of all time.
I know, right? So perfect. And get this, it's actually a repurposed pinball machine part.
No way.
Yeah. The developers took a knocker, the thing that makes that bong sound, and used it to give Q-Bert's falls that extra oomph.
That's amazing. They found a way to bring a little bit of that pinball magic to the world of video games. It's brilliant. You know what's really wild to me? Q-Bert wasn't just content with being an arcade king. Oh no, this little orange dude had bigger aspirations. He was destined for pop culture stardom.
It's true. He was everywhere. Home consoles, computers, even lunchboxes. It was like Q-Bert mania swept the nation.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Gottlieb, a company known for pinball machines, creates this smash hit video game, and all of a sudden, everyone wants a piece of the Q-Bert pie. Parker Brothers, Konami, you name it. They were putting Q-Bert on everything.
And you know what? Good for them. They recognized a good thing when they saw it. I mean, the NES version, developed by Konami, the same company behind, like Contra and Castlevania, that just goes to show you how much reach Q-Bert had. It's not every day that a little orange blob hopping on cubes ends up rubbing shoulders with those gaming giants.
Talk about a testament to Q-Bert's quality and innovation. It's proof that a good game is a good game, no matter what decade it comes from. But you're right, it wasn't just the games. There was the cartoon show.
The merchandise. Oh, man, don't even get me started on the merchandise.
I mean, lunchboxes, toys, even a Saturday morning cartoon show. Q-Bert was inescapable.
For a while there, it felt like Q-Bert was bitter than the Beatles.
And the funny thing is, he never really went away. Sure, he had his heyday in the 80s, but he's had these amazing comebacks over the years. Wreck-It Ralph, come on, that was pure nostalgia gold.
Seeing Q-Bert in that support group with all those other classic arcade characters, it warmed my heart. They even gave him a few lines.
They did. Finally. Q-Bert got to speak his mind. And it wasn't just Wreck-It Ralph. Didn't he have a cameo in Adam Sandler's Pixels, too?
He did. A small but memorable role. It just goes to show you, you can't keep a good Q-Bert down.
So there you have it. We started with a fascination with MC Escher, threw in some groundbreaking game design, sprinkled in a dash of accidental audio genius, and ended up with a pop culture icon that's still going strong after all these years. Who would have thought a little orange blob with a bad attitude could have such staying power?
It just goes to show you, the simplest ideas can sometimes be the most innovative and impactful.
Q-Bert's a reminder that you should never underestimate the power of a good game, especially when it has a unique look, challenging gameplay, and a whole lot of heart.
So next time you're feeling nostalgic, do yourself a favor, find yourself a retro arcade, and see if you can track down that iconic pyramid. You might just rediscover the magic of Q-Bert.
And hey, while you're at it, take a moment to appreciate all those other forgotten classics out there. Maybe there's another Q-Bert just waiting to be rediscovered. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Q-Bert. Until next time.